Hi, Dr. Nurse Podcast. Welcome to another episode. And today we have on Aisha Allen. She is a CRNA, DNP doctor, and she started with her BSN in 2013, started her nursing career in the step-down unit in Virginia Beach, and then 6 months later jumped into the cardiac surgery ICU, where she started her journey to become a nurse anesthesiologist or a nurse anesthetist. No, wait, a nurse anesthetist, right?
You had it right, though. The new term is anesthesiologist, so you go ahead.
Excuse me. Nurse, I didn't want to be... Oh, my goodness. You guys are getting called nurse and anesthesiologist. Oh, my gosh. That is so BA. That is so BA.
T now, but, like, we can... That's another conversation.
Oh, my... I thought I read it wrong. I was like, I read it wrong. No, I love
right.
that. Okay, so she originally took to social media to encourage nurses to pursue advanced practice degrees and has started to get kind of metamorphosis her platform into get wealth, step away from the bedside, come back to the bedside as a nurse that's not burned out or broke or tired because you have been able to kind of generate your own revenue side hustles. We've been wanting to talk, and I'm so glad to talk to her. Thanks for coming on today.
Of course. Also, you're really good at this. I just have to say, like, you're freaking good at this. I love it. I love it.
Girl, I'm pregnant. Don't make me cry. Okay? Because so
I'm emotional too, so it's cool. We can let it go. Let it flow.
I'm on the edge always. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't say that. So, again, I've introduced you, but tell my listeners, again, how you kind of see your role and how you view what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. So by trade, nurse anesthesiologist, my role is to meet a patient and in 5 minutes gain their trust enough for them to let me put them to sleep, feel comfortable. Of course, you're going to have anxiety, and to trust me enough to watch every single heartbeat, every breath that they take, every bat of their eyelash, and wake them up and send them home to their family. And yes, and
that's not a small deal.
It's not a small deal. A lot of people they see my platform, Ditch the Bedside, and I make money as a CRNA, and they forget what I actually do for that income. And if I only cared about the money, I would not be good at my job. So I just want to say that. So that's how I look at my job. I love it. It's an investment. I'm becoming a CRNA. 3 years of not working unless you build income. And that's kind of where I felt that shift of like, oh, wait, they really wanted me to go to school without any income, which some people do because, you get loans and it's an investment. You can pay it back. But yeah, as a nurse anesthesiologist, just like nurses, we are the crux of healthcare. Surgeries do not start without the anesthesia. So, you hear all this blame anesthesia, this, blame anesthesia, that, we kind of just laugh, ha, 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 because like you wouldn't be cutting into this patient if they're not comfortable. Who do you call when your patient's in PACU and in a lot of pain? You call pain doctors. So I love my job that way. And I have now found even a renewed passion because I just left the military. So I spent the last 3 years. I earned a scholarship to the Air Force. If anyone doesn't know me, I am all about strategy. I will make a move to bust a move. And so I joined I got an HPSP scholarship to pay for my tuition, my nurse anesthesia tuition. And so you owe back active duty time, 3 years. But like, in 3 years, I blinked and it was done. And so I served 3 years, traveled the world, lived in Japan, just got back here in October. I put myself in a position to be where I am right now, which is I'm not working until 2023 of March after my birthday. And when I go back, I'm working 2 days a week. I posted a picture about that, an email that I got. They're like, how many days are you going to be working full-time or part-time? Part-time, ma'am. 2 days a week. And I'll be working with kids. We were talking about that briefly. I'll be working in pediatric dental. And so my nursing career kind of metamorphed into this experience where I'm at now, being like, oh no, I'm going to work 2 days a week because I make good money. Yes. I love what I do. Yes. I'll be working with Medicare, Medicaid patients. So I'm not getting paid very well. If you ask a CRNA about my salary, they'd be like, girl, what are you doing? Like that's nothing. But it's because of the short-term rentals, the real estate, all the other things that I've dabbled in where I'm like, oh, I got income coming other places. I don't have to sell my soul and sell my time to the highest bidder if I don't want to. So that's where I am right now.
I love that. I love that, because what you're describing is working out of overflow and out of passion instead of working out of necessity and working out of a sense of obligation to the bills or the things that you've got to pay for, right? So you've got all these liabilities pulling your money away. You're like, no, I've invested in assets, which is now giving me my time back, right? And that is the currency you can't pay. You can't buy that. Currency.
This is the piece that you can't. Yeah, like I invested in number one though in the greatest asset that I know is me. Yes, and so everyone listening to this podcast, most of us are probably nurses or going to become a nurse. You have done that already. You have invested in your greatest asset, yourself. And so now you have a very stable job. I know my platform is all about ditch the bedside, but I wouldn't be here without nursing. Like, I need to set that straight. Like, nursing changed my life. And if ish hit the fan today, I would go back and be a bedside nurse and I would hit the floor if I needed to. I have no qualms about it. It's a crazy skill set to have. Bedside, office, Amazon's probably about to hire, bedside nurses soon. This is a skill and a trade that you can't touch. Yeah. And so I'm like, this podcast where we're talking about like stepping outside of bedside, to me, it's like, it's deeper. And I know, like I mentioned, I just came from Japan. There's this term called ishigaki.
What's it mean?
I know. So it means life's work. And I talk about this in my courses. We have been brought up in a capitalistic system, and I will not sit here and be like, oh, capitalism's bad. Like, we need money to live. I can have a conversation another day. But we have conditioned ourselves and been brought into a system where our life's work is nursing. It's an accountant. It's being an analyst. It's all the things that we go to work to create and generate income for somebody else. And the term and about ishigaki is, what is your life's mission, actually? That is your life's work. So for me, it's building wealth within our communities, not to be rich and flashy and get a Bentley and a Rolls Royce, but to build enough wealth so that we can actually pursue life's work. And all of ours are different. So what your life's work may be to just be the best mom that you can and stay home and to go to work 2 days a week and care for the world. And that's your life's work. And you get to spend more time doing that. For me, it's showing people what life can be. That's my life's work. But if I am stuck in necessity and stuck in needing to bring income home to my family. And then there's this chart. I'll send it to you. Maybe you can post it somewhere. There's this chart that shows, so there's a chart where it has the work that the world needs, the work that you love, the life's work that you love, something that brings you income. And there's 4 quadrants. I can't remember off the top of my head what the 4th one is. And a lot of us stay in the quadrant where it's what makes us money. Now, when you move towards the center of this chart, you're at the center of what makes you money, what the world needs, what you love doing, and what's, good for the world. Yeah. But nurses, and this is why I love working with nurses, we already, every day we wake up and go to work, we are doing what the world needs. But we're so far over and doing what makes us money. So we're on one half of the chart. Yeah. I want to try to get us to the center of it, and where we are doing a lot of the things that we love, and that can generate us income and what the world needs. But nurses, we already have two of 4 checked out. Yeah, we don't, there's people who wish and strive and wake up and say, I don't feel fulfilled because I'm not doing anything for the world. Because humans are fulfilled by service. Yeah. And so we have that already. And so I want to move us to the life's work. What sets us on fire? What do we love doing? What would not feel like work? And we briefly talked about this before. I think the closer we get to that, you would have nurses being happy to skip into work because they're fulfilled outside of it. Imagine going to work and everyone's working 2 days, 3 days a week with smiles on their faces. It would be lit. I think it would be amazing. Obviously, you got to get the for-profit hospital systems in order, but yeah, so just that's where I'm at on this mission, aside from building businesses and things in real estate.
That is so cool. I love that whole diatribe that you just shared, but basically saying, hey, listen, like I want us to be in the middle of knowing what we love, doing what brings joy, brings a service to the world, what we're passionate about. I want it to help us bring money, because it's unrealistic to say that we don't need money or people don't need to work for profit. I think there's something about greed that I have found as I've gotten older that I'm just like, well, that's just greedy. Like, when somebody comes and takes like, when I went trick-or-treating with my kid, he took one piece of candy from everybody's. It was so precious. One piece. And I was like, they were like, no, take more. And he was like, nope, I'm okay. I'm content with just the one.
And where did he get that from?
I don't know where he got. I think it's my husband. He's so chill. My husband is so like content. So
it's parenting though.
I think it is. It's the parenting, right? And so I was so proud of him. My little mama heart was so full, because I was noticing he wasn't that kid that was like, oh, they're taking it. And just, he wasn't being greedy. And so I think you can get what you need, and other people have different levels of need, right? Like, some people want certain things, or they need huge. Certain things. And okay, fine. I think that's okay. Get what you feel like you need. But I think to a certain degree, the greed is what's turning people off to certain concepts of capitalism, where it's like, okay, that is just greedy. Like, come on, man. You're just taking advantage of people's vulnerabilities. Those types of things bother me about it. But I do look and go, it's unrealistic to say that we don't need these things to be able to live and to provide for families.
Especially where we live.
So right. Yes.
Let's keep it real. We live in the United States. Yeah. Most of us, I mean, I'm sure you have listeners all over the world, but
it's crazy.
If you know what you know about the United States, if you step out your house, it's expensive.
Yes. And it's only getting more expensive with inflation. And I mean, I went and saw a carton of eggs, the same eggs I bought like not even 6 months ago. They've gone up $2. I was like, this is crazy.
It's disturbing, which is why I have chickens.
Like that's a whole nother podcast for another day, girl.
I know. I just
that is so stuff. Great. Oh my gosh, that's
I
gold for me.
refuse. If there's a person that refuses to get like beat up over the head by a capitalistic society, it's me. And sometimes to my detriment, but like we have chickens back here in the city of Durham, North Carolina, and I'm not paying those prices, honey.
I don't blame you. No, they're probably cleaner eggs too, man. You can get the chickens out there in the sun, living their best life, scavenging, and their eggs are beautiful.
I mean, they are like wild. The sun. They're animals. They are free range. I will say that. They fly over the fences.
Free range, cage free. They're all the things free.
They really are.
You're about even your chickens are free, girl. Even your chickens are free. You're like, everybody's free.
Even my chickens are free. Free at last. They're free. My chickens are free. Okay? And I wish that on everybody.
That is so funny. So tell me a little bit about what you were doing on the side to be able to go to 2 days a week. Because I know there's a nurse out there that's like, okay, wait a minute. What did you do? Because I'm having to do 4 days and I want 2, or I'm having to do 5. How do I get down to where you are? Take me through your process and how you started investing in yourself with your DNP, and then just kind of moved into, all right, I want to set myself free from the grind and do the stuff that I'm passionate about. What did you say the term was in Japanese?
Ishigaki.
Ishigaki. I want to get that.
Oh,
Ishigaki.
Sorry. Wow, my brain. So I'm going to say this. I just got over COVID, y'all. I'm like,
oh, it's okay. What did you, is it different?
It's Ikigai.
Ikigai. Okay.
Ikigai. Ishigaki is my favorite island of Japan, y'all. It's called Ikigai. There's a book.
Ikigai. Okay.
Yeah. I-K-I. Ikigai. So life's work.
Okay.
Ishigaki is a beautiful island off in Japan. So
I'm just impressed with your Japanese. So don't worry. You're good.
Oh, girl, I do not. I know I know how to order food, and I know how to say hello and good night.
I mean, I think those are pretty good life skills to be able to order food and say hello, goodbye, get to.
So I think quick background story. You mentioned it. I was a VICU nurse. I had applied for nursing school literally the day before the deadline, because it was 2008, and I'm looking around at everyone in 2008, like the job market, just hearing like, I have a vision. I'm a visionary. Like, I look way ahead. And I sat in my room on Christmas break around this time, actually, and I'm like, what do I want my life to be? I'm 18, but when I finish college, what's there for me? Yeah. And I was a graphic design major at the time, and I loved that, and probably would have went to advertising and been fine. I'm very confident in my abilities to do well. But I was like, I don't want to do that. I was an athletic trainer in high school for 4 years, and I was like, oh, let's try nursing. So I applied. I knew I would get in because I was a D1 athlete at the time at the school. My grades were great. And I was like, oh, this application looks great. So got my recs in, I applied. And at the same time I was looking at that application, I said, well, where do I go after that? Because I am the first daughter of 2 Caribbean parents. And education, yeah. My mom's from Aruba, my dad's from Jamaica. My mom speaks Spanish, Portuguese, all the deals.
So cool.
Didn't teach us a word. Love you, Mom. And so I was like, I knew I had to go back to school. I just knew. So I was like, what's in nursing? What's grad school of nursing? And back then, the only 2 things that came up were nurse practitioner and CRNA. And I was looking at nurse practitioner. I was like, just off what I knew, don't anyone come for me. I was like, I do not want to be working at the hospital anymore like that. Like, I saw them at the bedside and I was like, nah, like, that's not what I want to do. Yeah. And so I saw CRNA and I looked at the salaries and I said, oh yeah,
I could do that. I could do that.
After I graduated school. Yeah. So from then I said, that's what I want to do, because I knew that making that amount of money, I would be secure. Call it what you want. I knew that's what I needed to do. Now, me being young and naive, I didn't really know what that entailed, but I just had set it in my mind and I was going to do it. So fast forward, went to VICU step down, immediately found a CVICU job. I couldn't get it initially. And so I just started working. Like, I didn't want to wait around just to get an ICU job. And so 8 months after that, I applied, got in. Like, I worked at a very good ICU and started that journey of the Air Force, like I mentioned. And when I started school,
because you knew you wanted the military to pay for your DNP.
I knew that. DNP. I was looking at that when I was like, how do I pay for this expense school?
Yeah.
Like, I looked at that too. And I found some other scholarships, Veterans Affairs Scholarship, but they had closed that funding down. It was time for me to go. And so I was like, oh, okay, pivot. I guess it's military. And so when I started school in 2016, I stopped working. I was getting a stipend and from the military. So you pay about $1,200 twice a month. And I was looking at my classmates and they were struggling. Like, we went to expensive school. I went to Duke. Like, there was no, by the time you leave there, it's $250,000 after everything. And I chose Duke on purpose, but I was looking at people struggling. They made it, obviously, and they could pay it back because of the skill set. But even I was feeling like a little tight in my finances. And I was like, well, I know I'm not going back bedside because I couldn't stand it. Mainly the people. Like, I'm not going to sit here and trash bedside nursing. It was mainly the people and the scheduling and that I didn't like. And I said, and I was starting to figure out how the hospitals were working. We were talking about that briefly, and how personalities are just, they're contagious, one. And when people are upset and jealous and just gross, they can turn a whole tide of nurses against you. And I was like, I don't ever want to be in a position where I'm like dreading going to work. I don't like being dependent on the military to send me money, even though I know they're supposed to.
Yes.
Waiting around for a check, this $1,200 check, like, oh, did it come in?
Because
it was a check. The mail could, I don't know, it could be snowing and the mail doesn't come and I still don't have a check. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, no, this is like, that's where it clicked for me, like that instance. And I started like researching, what do people do? And it didn't take me long, because in nurse anesthesia school, you are exposed. Your circle is immediately different. You are now in operating rooms with millionaires, surgeons, other CRNAs.
Come on, girl.
The people who help surgeons select the right screws. That's a whole different class of people.
Ooh. So
we were in the operating room. I'm learning anesthesia, but then the CRNA relief would come in and be like, oh, did you see the stocks? Oh, what did you do this weekend? Oh, I took the boat out with the girls. It was great. And I'm over here like, the boat?
The boat?
The boat?
We come from the boat to America. What are you talking about?
And you have a boat? And if people don't look like me, a boat. I'm training in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm like, oh, this is different. And so we'd be talking about anesthesia. And then I'd be like, can you tell me about, what do you mean? What about that? Oh, well, we all have real estate. We all own apartment buildings. We all invested together in an apartment building.
Wow. Wow.
So that, like, the circle, when I say the network makes your net worth, immediately I was like, oh, true. So half the time I would be getting pimped about questions of anesthesia. Half the time I'm pimping them about, oh, so what do you mean about APY and after repair value, ARV? So I had 2 full education systems in
Yeah,
CRNA
you had 2
school.
clinicals going. You had the clinical of life and the clinical of CRNA school.
Right.
Smart.
So I went to okay. And so halfway through CRNA school, I bought a home. Everyone telling me, don't do that. You just finish school. Don't buy a home. I have a home here in downtown Durham, bought it for $157,000. It's now worth $357 because I said, and I'm listening to the people who've done it before around me.
Yeah.
And now I have a renter in there. And at that time I didn't get it. But then I moved to Las Vegas to start my career in the Air Force. And, you have a choice of where to go. And I was like, well, where's the real estate the best out of these places? It was Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They were about to build you look at city plans. They're about to build a Raiders stadium. And they're getting all these new things in the city of Las Vegas. So I went and I found a home for $200,000. Now worth $389,000. And that I just have renters in. And I started short-term rentals with that. I bought that.
So how much did you start with paying down? Like, cause I mean, you're done with school.
Yeah.
You started making money. So did you put
Las
down
Vegas,
like 10%? Did you put down like full 20%?
So for the house in Durham, they have down payment assistance. A lot of cities have down payment assistance. And I found this house specifically because I wasn't making income. Technically, that money, that stipend is not counted as income. And for the HPSP scholarship. And so that house had like a deed on it that required it to be, this is how they stopped or delayed gentrification. The people having to move into that house have to have an income below a certain amount. It was a beautiful house. And so I was like, oh, that's me. I don't make any money, technically. And so I moved into that house and I just lived there. And this is what I coach people on in my network and the Hive. Buy where you live. Everybody, if you're living there, someone else has to lay their head there. Yeah. It's the easiest thing ever. If you're in nursing school somewhere, buy, and we can talk about rapid fire, whatever. But yeah, so nothing with that one. This next one, which is also why I joined the military, no payment down, now no down payment because I was the VA loan.
It's a VA loan.
Right.
Okay.
But like I said, there's down payment assistance for everything. There's programs where you can buy a home, FHA 203, and they give you funds to renovate it. And I'm just going to plug this in right now. If I knew what I knew now as a nursing student, I would have gotten a little CNA job, not little, excuse me. I was young at the time, so I'm calling myself little.
Yeah.
I would have gotten a part-time, something that gives me a W-2.
Yeah.
And I would have taken that W-2 and taken it to a lender and bought a fourplex or a triplex or something that would allow me to live in one and rent out the other.
Yeah.
With other nurses, something. I would have done that if I knew what I knew now. And after a year or after however many years of nursing school, I would have left and just hired a property management team and left and had a property of 4 doors.
Wow. So how many?
Know.
So after Las Vegas, so as you get repositioned for the military, you're picking up property in these different spots that you're being stationed at. Is that what I'm gathering? Okay.
A little pick up here, a little pick up there. And so, 3 years came and went very quickly. I spent the last 2 years in Japan, enjoying the heck out of it. I really, really loved everything.
People like Japan. They say it's really neat. The culture's super neat.
And I was there when the borders were closed.
Oh, so COVID.
Yeah. So I just got to skip around that place like no one there. It was the most peaceful thing I've ever experienced. I couldn't understand people. So I was just like on the train.
You could order food. You could order food.
I could order food. Hitori, one person. And so then right before I left Japan, I was like, well, I haven't bought in a while. I started coaching and doing all these things. And so then I just bought my most recent property in August in Puerto Rico.
I saw that. I'm Puerto Rican, so I was very impressed.
Yeah. So I'm moving. So I'm going to be living there half time, actually. I know.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. You're going to be on the island. I love that
I'm a Caribbean girl. I'm a Caribbean girl, so I need the water, I need the ocean, and there's strategy behind that. There's tax benefits to moving over there.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then I just started my next endeavor, which is actually raising private money because this is what I learned, this is what actually people do, is they raise money, either their friends or their whatever, to buy the bigger buildings, the bigger apartments.
Syndications. Yeah.
So I have now put together my first syndication, called Ancestors Capital. And I am now bringing in nurses and bedside nurses at very, very low barrier to entry. Like usually it's like $50K to start getting into syndications.
Yeah.
I'm like more than, I don't know the word. It's way less than that. Overtime shift less that you can get in for these types of things. And so I spent a lot just listening to everyone, paying coaches, understanding the game. And now that's what I'm doing, is bringing the syndications to people, operating the projects. I have this big one coming up here in North Carolina. And so that's where I'm trying to take people, is me being you putting your money in. I'm also teaching people as I go around, because I can't just take your money. That's just not how I'm wired. So taking their, investing it, giving them interest back, but also filming the behind the scenes and coaching people through what is actually happening on the job sites. And so you're paying and you're investing, getting interest, and you're also learning. So that's my mission, is to teach people what I'm doing. Maybe you don't want to do this and operate a whole project yourself. Maybe you just want to invest and make passive income, truly passive income. And so I'm helping nurses also do that.
So how are you going to do part-time CRNA and then live half the year in Puerto Rico? Are you going to be working as a CRNA in Puerto Rico?
No.
So you're going to be working part-time 6 months out of the year and not working?
Maybe 6 months.
It's amazing.
It's
amazing.
Yeah. So from North Carolina, it's a 3-hour flight to Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking I'm working.
Just make sure you clap when the plane lands. All Puerto Ricans clap when the plane lands.
Really?
We all clap. Oh, 100%. We're just thankful God got us on the ground. Are you kidding me? We all clap. We all
okay,
clap.
I will.
Just so that you know the culture of the plane. Whenever the plane lands, everybody's like, "Where am I?"
Okay, I will. I think it's going to be a quarterly thing. A few, at least 4 months out of every month, 1 month out of the quarter, I'll be living over there, just as a nice little R&R type deal.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah. And so I'm moving some of my businesses there. So there's just different ways. There's Act 20 and Act 22. Look it up. If you're trying to shield your money from taxes, it's legal. Tax
shielding.
Tax reduction is legal.
Yeah. Taxes. You're the worst because you don't pay them, but I'm really smart because I don't pay them.
I just read. I know how to read. Yes. And so does my accountant. My CPA. I tell people in my networks, put together a team of people, put together your board of advisors. The world, especially the United States, runs off of treating you like a business, but we don't treat ourselves that way.
Oh, that is so good.
We operate within businesses. We are pawns in someone else's business scheme. Take a hospital.
Girl, I am legitimately going to quote that. Keep going, because I love that so much, what you just said.
So, I have a course on this. It's called Treat Yourself Like a Business. People are like, oh, I don't know what to start an LLC. Just start an LLC with. You could be your marketer. You could be marketing for your services. You could be an advertising agency that pitches yourself out if you're a travel nurse. And you market yourself. And that's an LLC. That's a business. You start a YouTube channel. It doesn't matter if anybody watches your stuff. You're a business.
Yes.
Show up, hi, 5-minute video. It's business. It doesn't matter how successful your business is, just letting people know that.
Yeah.
And when you operate that way and you charge whatever, and I can't, this is not financial advice, so I'll leave it there. I'll park it there. As an LLC, you can write things off. You have a home office, it's a written off. Your cell phone, a write-off. Your insurance, a write-off. So you start operating that way, and all of a sudden your life is written off. And you have now reduced your tax liability, your taxable income. And me, keeping it real, my business on its own, not anesthesia, made $180,000 without me trying. And I was like, oh, I got to this is a lot of money. That is,
and you're talking like aside from your real estate. This is aside from your income, your CRNA income.
Yes.
So aside from like the money you get from your rentals, aside from your CRNA, your businesses through like course creation.
Yes.
Keep going. Tell me all this stuff.
Yeah. Uvia, Shop Uvia is a blue light glasses company. I'll put that on right now. These right here. Shop Uvia. Oops. Yeah, shopuvia.com. It's blue light glasses. And I started this while I was in CRNA school because we were going to be on the computer a lot. And I was like, I went on Amazon and I didn't like them. I was like, this is not cute. So I found a suppliers and I started marketing to healthcare providers. And that generated a cool, like I would say $2,000 a month after all expenses. And that's when it really clicked for me, because I did that while I was in school because I wanted some extra income. Yeah. And that was like my first, I kind of forget about it because it's kind of on autopilot now. Like I don't do anything for it. I've hired, shippers and people who do the marketing and all of that. You're
incredible. You're incredible, girl. So you've got the eyeglasses and then your courses, social media. I'm sure you've got social media sponsorships, things coming in.
That's so funny. I do. So I'm the worst. I tell them I'm the worst influencer in the world. Like I have an entire email inbox of people who are like, we'll pay you $3,000 to post this, whatever. And I look at it, I'm like, well, one, I wouldn't use it. And I'm proud of myself for that. Like I don't just take the next.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just not me. It's not in my character. And this is no shade, no tea to the influencers getting out. Like get your money, honey. That's just not my cup of tea. I'm here to do something else with social media. That's not to say I'm leaving a lot of money on the table. So I think in 2023, I'm about to like really become an influencer.
Yeah.
But like, I have some like affiliate codes, like affiliate
links,
chef's kiss of things that you actually use. Just for anyone here, anybody can like become an affiliate. Anybody can like make user generated content. Like everybody could be making money online right now easily. So yes, that generated about $180,000.
That is insane.
But to me, that's scary. I don't like that money just sitting there.
Like, now you're at tax liability, right?
And who's going to take it? Uncle Sam, all of it, half of it.
Yes.
So I was like, when it started to put everything together, like it all started clicking in my brain, why people are throwing holiday parties at the end of the year.
Because they would rather give it to their employees than to give it to the government.
It's a tax write-off.
Why not?
It's a tax write-off.
Treat yourself to your employees.
Treat yourself.
And so, then give it to the government. No.
Then give it to the government.
Yeah.
The government does it. The military does it. They buy all these at the end of the fiscal year. Computer this, TV that. It's all money. So back in the spirit of treating yourself like a business, if we understood that.
Thanks for listening to the episode. I hope you're enjoying the conversation. I wanted to take this time and remind you to check out the Success NP Etsy shop. It's a shop that I design with my best girlfriend. Cute nurse practitioner gear, hats, bags, anything you could think of, as well as adorable digital products, mom life stuff, so resources for nurses to come. We're just excited about our shop. It's another way to support the podcast and to get really cool gear. Check it out and be sure to tell your friends about the podcast as well as the Etsy shop if you'd like. And what I'm building here, any promotion, any sharing helps build my audience, and I greatly appreciate it. Now, let's get back to the episode.
But at the end of the year, everything that you have made, if you didn't invest it in your 401k, in your 403b, in your TSP, in an IR, in a REIT, if you didn't invest it, it's now taxable income. But
unless you're a business. Unless you're a business.
But when you get it off your books, off the books, and you invest it, you have reduced your tax liability. They're not going to say, oh, we're going to tax that. Why? Because it's gone. It's invested. And a lot of the billionaires and the millionaires choose real estate because just becoming a real estate investor is a huge, they send you a check. They'll send you a check for being a real estate investor.
This is crazy.
And so you could do it passively. I have a link on my Instagram through Fundrise. It's you're investing in people. go and find these apartment buildings in all these great cities and other people are doing the work. You put your little money in there. I was investing $500 a month when I wasn't operating the syndicate, just right off my phone. And it's just, you are now a real estate investor and you can print a tax document from these places, these automated ones, and give it to your TurboTax, whoever does your taxes, and dust your hands of it. You're now a real estate investor.
Wow. Right. Wow, guys, she has dropped so many nuggets. Like, if you're thinking, how do I create passive income? She's just given you 5 to 6 ideas of things to do right there, right now, that you can start figuring out and investing in yourself. And she has turned her side hustles into making her job now one of the side hustles. The job has gone from the maid hustle to now another one of the side hustles. It's almost like you turn all your pawns, or maybe you had like one pawn, but now you have like a king, a queen, a rook. You're playing chess, man. You're no longer playing with little tiny pawns, moving one step at a time. Now you're dashing across the chessboard. You're playing a different game. You're playing a different game. No, this is huge. And one of the things I always ask all these business owners that I talk to is, what is one of the most challenging aspects that you had to overcome in creating the business? And then one way that your nursing degree helped you have an edge. So how did you have an edge because of your background as a nurse? And then what's one thing that you're like, this is a grind because I didn't have a background as a business? Tell me that, if you don't mind.
So I don't mind at all. Such a good question, by the way. One thing that is different in our education as nurses is there's no financial classes. Doctors have a course, and at least an elective, on how to manage their money. We don't have that. And so
we should change that.
Oh, anyway, I'm on a mission.
That's a whole nother thought for another day. But
I'm on a mission. Like,
no, that's smart.
Some type of elective for something.
Yes.
But, and so
I would teach it.
As a nurse.
I mean, like any of us.
Come on, let's go.
I mean, right? Go ahead.
As a nurse, I was not taught, we were taught to take orders. Like, we are brought up to wait until somebody tells us to do something, or someone puts a script in so that we can do something. That mindset is hindering. I'm grateful, and I always like to say this on every podcast, everything. I'm very privileged. I know my privilege. I know where I came from, to have 2 parents in the home who pushed education for me, who taught me how to speak for myself and stand up for myself. That everyone doesn't have that. So having that privilege and understanding and knowing when something doesn't feel right and something is off is something that was innate for me. But coming in to answer your question, as a nurse, that nursing gut gives me a leg up. That knowledge of like, oh, something is off. Something's about to pop off. That patient is looking a little, put that outside the room. Put like that. I can tell we have an innate, like, emotional intelligence is huge. And we could talk to someone and be like, oh, you're a schemer. I'm not doing business with you. Like, you're shady. You're shady boots.
Yeah.
And so, like, as a nurse, I think that's something that is unstoppable. But yeah, something I didn't have is that knowledge. But I went and you
found it for yourself.
For it.
Yes. Yes. So
I am a sponge.
Yes. No. And that was one of the things I was thinking about as you were talking. I was like, so one of the things I love is that you call yourself privileged because all of us have a leg up in one way or another. And one of us may or may not. All of us have something that brings us down. All of us. So like,
we live in the United States. A lot of us live in the United States. We walk outside without a bomb dropping on our head.
Privilege.
Did we not see what happened in Afghanistan? Women can't go to school now.
Privilege.
I don't want to hear a damn thing about. We have internet.
We are on the same page, because that was one of the things that really bothered me, was that there's this rhetoric. And that's one thing. That's why I bring it up. What did you have to overcome? Because we're all overcoming something, regardless of our color of our skin, regardless of our age, our background, wherever we came from. We're having to overcome something.
All of us.
And so I look at they're like, oh, I had a friend, she said, oh, you're not privileged because your dad is Black. I said, are you kidding me? I am so privileged because my father is African American.
I don't play into that game either.
I don't play into it either because I look at it and I'm like, have you met my dad? Like, until you meet him? Like,
have you met my mom?
Have you met my mom?
The school board, baby. Like,
I'm with you on that. It is not a matter of skin color that allows privilege or no privilege. It is a matter of looking and seeing, hey man,
what it is.
What did I have that gives me a leg up in life?
The leg up.
Because we're all dealing with things we have to overcome. There are things I have to overcome.
People hate when I say this, but I don't say it publicly often, but I felt really comfortable saying it here. Like, we have, us, especially people listening to this podcast right now, we are top earners. More often than not, the people who are listening to this, we are top earners in the world.
Yes. Yes.
I don't have time to hear you talk about nothing.
No, you're 100% correct. Yes, get after it. You've got no excuse. And wherever you've come from, we're all dealing with stuff.
Acknowledge it.
We acknowledge it. We acknowledge it. We say, hey, listen, these are things that are hard because I had immigrant parents. These are things that were easy because I had immigrant parents. I had immigrant parents that were like, education always. And I also had immigrant parents that I was like, okay, so I don't really understand the English that well, or I understand it, but I'm saying words wrong. And there's things that I'm struggling with on my English. Yes. And so I would write, I used to say underpit. And I was like, my dad was like, what's underpit? And I was like, the pit under your arm. And my dad was like, it's called armpit. Annette, what are you teaching our kids? Like, it was just, that was life for me, right? And it was a beautiful part of it, but it's also one of those things that's like, well, I mean, that was a little difficult, like going to school and finding out like I was calling things the wrong name because my mom's Puerto Rican.
So funny. That was neat.
Yes.
But you're so right. And it's like, I also do want to say, I can sit here and be like, I never wanted for food. I never had to think twice about dinner being on the table.
Yeah, it might not have been good, but it was there.
Right. And I will not sit here and also say that, there was days where my mom would be like, we don't have money for McDonald's. Like, we don't have money for that. But I do want to acknowledge, like, there are people who come from some very rough circumstances that things that I don't even, like, I can't even imagine are happening to them. Yes. And I want, and so in terms of privilege, and when I say that word, that's what I mean. I have never had to wonder about food, shelter, water, anything. Yes. And so I can't even speak to those experiences of people who have. And so when we come on these podcasts and we talk about these things and why I preach and say as much as I can, it's for those types of people who who aren't in the networks that I'm in, who aren't in the rooms that I'm in. So I'm going to come out here and just say, in hopes that we all can reach those points and pinnacles of life where we're not having to scrap and fight all the time for everything.
Yes.
Because that's what a lot of people's real world experiences are.
Yes. And again, I think what you're saying is so poignant because it is true. There are people that have struggles that we have no idea what they're going through. And when I hear about my mom and when she was raised in Puerto Rico and the things that she endured to get to the United States and how she is so scrappy and such a hard worker because of what she came from, and realizing I'm one generation separated from that.
Just one.
It's humbling, but it also makes me realize like I've got no excuses because my mom literally had to go get water from a well and bring it to the house. Like, we don't understand what it was to grow up. We have no understanding of that. None. And so again, and my mom doesn't act privileged. She's one of the hardest working people. My dad literally would say, she will work you under the table. You can't outwork her.
Right.
She's in her 60s, So it's that mentality of just working through it. And again, it was tough, but at the same time, she doesn't focus and fixate on it. And
our example. Like, our examples are work your ass off.
Yeah.
Like, and I hate that there's like a love, hate. Like, you need hard work. It's 2022, about to be 2023. And unfortunately, hard work is the currency right now. My goal is for hard work, hard meaning like struggle, not to be the currency of my children. I don't want that to have to be what they exchange in the world, to be seen as valuable, to be seen as a person, to be treated the same. And like a lot of us right now, we are changing that for our future generations. Because right now, hard work is our currency. You have to work hard.
Yeah. So by working hard and working smart, which is what you're doing right now, you allow the generation behind you to work creatively, to work out of a sense of overflow, to not be stressed and think, if I don't, I'm not going to be able to pursue that. I'm not going to be able to work in the icky guy.
Icky guy.
I won't be able to work in that spot. It would be so great if you were able to be launched into the world working in that zone. In the icky guy, that you can just go like, this is where I started, and to have such a fulfilling career from the beginning. And by doing this work for ourselves, we can then put that next generation onto the map in a different way, which I think is really, really cool. So what is the one thing, if you could go back to yourself and say, Aisha, you're brand new, what is one thing you would have told her to hold on to, piece of advice, you know, going forth, marching forward and thinking about all these ideas? And one thing you would tell her, when you hear this is garbage, throw it away. So what is one thing to hold on to, one piece, throw it away? It's crap.
One, I'm sorry, it's two. Two things I would hold on to is, one, people meet you as deeply as they have met themselves. So when you have that snotty-nosed Karen nurse on the unit who you just can't understand why she's so mean to you, why she won't help you, that is truly her insides coming out. And maybe no one helped her. Maybe her husband cheated on her last week. And still no excuse, but that has nothing to do with you. You are not a bad nurse. You are not a bad woman. You're not a bad man. They, whatever you identify as, you are so worthy of someone treating you appropriately. So that's something that I would keep. Second thing I would keep is, do not listen to a soul who has not done what you're trying to do. What comes out of their mouth does not freaking matter.
I love that. Yes. If someone's criticizing you that's doing less than you, if someone's criticizing you that's doing less than you,
did I hear something?
Don't spend any time on that. Don't spend any time
at all.
Yes.
Laugh inside yourself, chuckle, and move on. The amount of times I heard people who were not on CVICU, oh, they're going to eat you up alive there. You're with me on the step down. What do you know about that? Oh, CRNA school's so hard. You're never going to get in. They tried 3 times to get in. Well, I got in on my first try. That's cute.
Yeah.
Like, that stuff was noise to me.
Let it be
noise. Call it stubborn, whatever. It was laughable. So those 2 things I would hold on to. Something that I would throw away, or advice, anything that had fear in it.
So good.
Anything like, I'm scared to do that. Wouldn't you be nervous? Like, anything that is not, and I mean this, anything that does not sound like, oh, that's a great idea. Do you need help? Or, oh, have you met with so-and-so? They can maybe help you with this. They've done something similar. If it doesn't sound like that, I have no ears for it. Friends, family, cousin, I don't need to hear it. If you are not supporting me, it could be the dumbest idea. Whatever that, I don't even want to say dumb. You could be like, I want to tie people's shoes for a living. You better support me. Oh, what's the business? At least, what's the business plan?
Yes, at least ask what's the business plan.
Seriously. But if, and
that might be a good question.
Whatever.
That might be a good question. What's your business plan?
What's your business plan? But that's what I'm saying. That's constructive.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah, that's constructive.
Maybe, oh, well, yeah, that business plan doesn't sound too good. Help me that way.
Yes.
But the fear-based conversation, I have no room for it. Like, ooh, it's a recession, and ask millionaires. I don't take advice from people who are not millionaires. No, I'm serious. And it's not even on the amount of money, but
I love it. Go to the people that are doing it. Yeah.
You still work 5 times a week with overtime to maintain your bills. No shade, no tea. But you are not, I can't take advice from you. It's like, if you're married and there's your friend who has not had a relationship longer than a year trying to tell you how to be in your marriage.
Red flag. Yeah. Red flag.
Red flag. So that's kind of that's life advice. You're not where I am.
Good.
I'm not taking your advice.
That is so good. I love that. Guys, that is, again, put that in your piggy bank. store that, because that is a piece of solid money-making advice, operating outside of fear. And there's this girl I follow on Instagram. Her name is Fearless Miranda. She's the CEO, owner of Street Parking, which is this CrossFit designed workout that she does. She comes up with it every week. She sends you the workout. It's a great program. I love it. I do it. I've done it my whole pregnancy. She's got mama support. So if you're in pregnancy mode, she'll like send you special little workouts. But her Instagram handle is Fearless Miranda. And I love that. There's something about her Instagram handle that just inspires me, because every time she opens up Instagram, she's got Fearless Miranda at the top of it. Hey. It's a constant reminder to stay away from living in fear, because it holds you back from things. It constricts you. It paralyzes you. It does nothing to grow you. It only does everything to break you small. And so I literally have on my vision board right here, live without fear. I have it written right in front of me, because I love that advice so much. And if we lived without fear, if we moved into the areas that we are afraid, I talk about this all the time on my podcast, you're living. Like, right. You move into areas where you're like, I'm afraid. You never feel more alive. You just
because you're doing it. You're still operating, but you're moving there. Yeah, no, yes. That's such good advice. And the moment I understood like what fear was and how it manifested and showed up in other people, and how it is almost, it's their mantra. What you are saying is your mantra. So if you're over here always, I'm scared to blank, you're going to be scared to do it, and you're not. Yeah. So what are we saying? You know, we spell words out like it's a spell. We are casting spells when we speak. We are talking. And the laws of attraction. I would be laws of attraction. Like, I am terrified. I hate public speaking. I hate going up in front of a podium, in front of a room, but I've been given the opportunity so many times to do it. I'm like, well, clearly I must be supposed to do it. And so I'm shaking, like my voice quivers, but I will do it anyways. Do it every single time. Yeah. And I think that's also why I'm able to hop on the podcast now. And no big deal. What's the question? Cool. Yeah. We'll get there. Yeah. And so anyone listening that acknowledge the fear, this is not to say that fear isn't a thing, because it is. And there's good fear, right? Like there's good healthy jumping fear. Off, there's healthy fear. There's things that like we should acknowledge. Like you should be afraid to jump off a bridge without a harness on and just jump off. Like that's probably not a good idea. But at the same time, like think it through. Like why do you want to jump off the bridge? Well, it's on my bucket list. Okay, well maybe we should get a bungee cord. Maybe we should do the things that are going to help you come back. The safety. Right. And so don't jump off the bridge just means just hold on. Let's do it. So my fears around like making the moves and the risk, and people say, oh, it's risky and all this other stuff. Nursing to me is that bungee cord. It's that harness. It's that's my safety net. Come on, girl. The safety net. I mentioned it earlier. Exactly what it is. Hit the fan. I will go pick up an extra 10 shifts like that. And I've made the money back. There was a point I lost $11,000 2 years ago. I invested it into this bus thing that I was going to put on outdoorsy, rent a bus. Yeah. And, learned about contracts. The person, we made a verbal contract and he didn't abide by it. And I invested $11,000. And he's like, well, that's your down payment. And the contract says blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, this is how y'all work. And there was a point where I was like, either I can hold on to this money, this $11,000, or I can release it and say it's going to come back to me. It's a lot of money to me at the time.
No, it's a lot of money. $11,000.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there was one, and I just sat there and I said, I'm going to release it. That money, that $11,000 is going to come back around. And I think 6 months later, I paid $15,000 to get into a coaching course, put it on my credit cards. And I opened up my first course, like Align Hive, and made $50,000, like coaching people. And I just remember being like, okay, I have to like let things go. I have to let fear go. It was like such a lesson, and what you hold on to and grip so tight, you can suck the life out of it. And so releasing, acknowledging the fear, because I was afraid I would never make any money. I was afraid, like that was one of my worst fears, is losing money.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a bad investment. I'm going to lose money.
Yeah.
Like money is so cyclical. It's like a relation. I could talk all
There's
day.
I was going to say, there's like a lot of trauma on money that people go
I
through.
talk about this.
Yeah.
I talk about money traumas and like what we were growing up hearing, like, well, we don't have money for that. You know, your mom would say, we can't afford that right now.
Yeah.
Or your grandpa would stash money under their bed.
Yeah.
Like,
Grant Cardone talks about it too. I've heard him talk about like money trauma.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone, he's just like, I don't raise my kids with this idea of they can't have stuff or where, you know, he's like, you can figure this out. We can get it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different mindset than like, we can't afford that. Than to go like, no, we can. It's just, we're going to have to do this.
Let's do something for it.
Yes.
That's me right now fundraising for this syndicate.
Yeah.
Like there's been times where they're like, oh no, we can't fund that. And it's like, okay, we're going to find a way to do this.
Yes.
And it's
I've
just
heard
like,
him say that. It's really inspiring. He raises his daughters.
Wow, yeah. Ooh, I need to listen. Cause that's my mindset. That's how I operate. Like, I don't believe in a no. I don't believe in can't. Like, it's going to work.
Yeah.
Some way, somehow, I'm going to figure it out.
Yes.
And so I know there are a lot of people who listen to these podcasts and they're really fearful. And I want to acknowledge that I get that. A lot of this is so scary. It's scary when it's new. But I challenge people to think and ask themselves, would you be okay in a year if you were still in the same place doing the same exact thing? That is one of the scariest things to me.
Yeah.
Is 365 days to go by and I'm just doing the same thing.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That's really good. Because, I mean, again, nature loves movement. Running brooks, moving trees, everything is in some type of changing and flux. And I've talked to so many nurse practitioner entrepreneurs that say that life is like a heartbeat. The reading on a heart rate, the tracing of an EKG, that there's ups and there's downs and there's highs and there's lows and there's just these moments. And that's what your heart does every single time it pumps. And that rhythm that you see on an EKG is essentially movement.
Pressures. And so, I could take that far with physiology. That's beautiful.
Isn't that?
The pressures here. And take a deep
everywhere.
breath.
It's a theme.
Awesome.
It's a theme in life. And so when you look at that theme, you have to also realize that is in business, that is in every moment, every facet. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, there's going to be moments that you're just afraid. You do it anyway, and then it's okay, and then it's not okay, and then it's
right. And that's the journey of it.
Yeah, and it's the T wave, and it's all there. It's so beautiful when you see these themes reverberate in different areas of our lives. It's just, I could literally talk to you all day because I feel like you and I are just so aligned.
I know. We gotta chat.
It's been an hour. But what I want to do is our rapid fire. I know.
Okay, let's do it.
An hour. We've had we've talked so deep. It's been so incredible. Let's go ahead and do rapid fire and like my poor guest. So I want them to hear some funny things about you. So here we go. You ready?
Okay.
What are you most grateful for in the whole world?
Took a deep breath on that. I think I am most grateful for my health. It keeps me clear. It keeps me able to see, vision, follow my senses, follow my gut. Because when I'm healthy, and that's just not, when I'm healthy, I'm able to just fully take in all that is around me, to make the decisions, to experience seasons, life, everything. So I would say I'm most grateful for my health.
Love that answer. If you had to give a book to someone to read, which book would it be?
Ikigai. This is light blue book.
Japanese
and if you type in Ikigai, I'm going to get the name because it's such a good
and send
book.
it to me and I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
And then what do you find is the best age to be?
The best age. This is going to sound how it's going to sound, but I would say the age you are right now. Really accepting where you are, not wishing you were younger, not wishing you were older, and really relishing in the fact that you get to be like 10 toes down, like waking up every day. So whatever age you are right now,
that's
like
beautiful.
Stop taking that for granted.
That's so beautiful. Well said. Oh my gosh. It's been such, again, like eyes tear up because it's so beautiful. It's true. It's wherever you are right now. That's all you have is today.
All you have.
And so plant that seed. start looking into that real estate. You know, how do I get funding for that? How do I start doing that work today? Plant the seed today so that you can be a different person 365 years from now.
Yes.
You can be that person that is like, hey, listen, I literally went from working 5 days at the bedside, burned out, tired, exhausted, to now I do 3 days. And I have way more bandwidth and I'm able to do this other thing part-time. And I've come up with a glasses line and I've come up with whatever it is.
Whatever